Mother, wife, career woman. First, like I said at the beginning, there are no super women. It's a fallacy. Get all the help that you need and organize yourself for the stage of life that you're in. Sometimes you would take certain kinds of jobs over a stage in order to finish some things. But whilst you're doing that, you're equipping yourself, you're educating yourself, you're retooling yourself, and you're organizing yourself. And once that part is done, you continue with your career. How can your home work? In Nigeria of today, what is your responsibility? To make sure your family is fed. Who cares who cooks the food? That's one thing that can happen. And if your husband will only eat your own cooking, no problem. Maybe you have weekends. Cook the food. Pack it. If he only wants to eat fresh food every day, he should have married a teacher. Not you. You need to organize yourself to succeed. Today, some women still like to go to Oyinbo, to go to somewhere. As long as you enjoy it and it works for you, I'm happy for you to do whatever works for you. But if you work in a bank, you're not going to close. Some of you will end up at work on a Saturday or something. Then you know that sold out, easy cook, easy something is an option for you and businesses like that. As long as your husband wants snail, there's snail in your fridge. That's fine. He wants a wedu, let it be there. He wants this. He doesn't even have to know where it came from. That's just the truth. No, it's true. In fact, sometimes the wedu you will give him, you didn't cook it. Because there are people who cook the soups and deliver to your house. Look, you have to have wisdom. You don't need to announce that the ewedu came from somebody. No. When the ewedu is delivered, you pour it into the pot and the pot on the fire. Women must know how to train their homes to work for them, including your husbands. Because sometimes it's the women that are overly indulgent. You must learn to train your husband. What does he want? Attention. And he wants to be fed. Make sure the food is there. Pay him attention. Even if you are not on your way home and there's somebody to give him the food at home, you are calling, hey, I'm on my way. Oh, have you eaten? Have you not eaten? Is the food there? Work out your own strategy. So that one, how do you make it work? Children, find the right schools for your children. I have 3 sons. And I've been busy all my life. And my children are 2 generations. My first is 27. My second is 24. My baby is 17. It's true. And when my baby was doesn't like to be called baby. He will answer you and say, I'm my mommy's baby, but I'm not a baby. When he was in nursery school at Corona VI, look, my son requires that I bathe him in the morning, I dress him up, and sit down with him to have breakfast, and pray with him, and I must see him off to the car and wave bye-bye as he's going. No problem. It's early in the morning, I'm still at home. So we'll do all that. But in the afternoon, I can never be at his school to pick him up because God knows where I would be in town, in the factory or something. So we had a plan in my own house. I arrange him and all of that. It's my driver that takes him to school in the morning, or sometimes my husband's driver. But in the afternoon, it's my husband's driver that picks him up because my husband is more stable. He sits in the office more than I do because I have multiple locations. So sometimes it's my husband that will go with the driver because he's coming from a meeting or something to pick up his son from school. So his teacher in nursery school will see his father more than me. And then one day my husband came home and said, what am I saying? And I'm like, what happened? He said, that the teacher said to him that, we never even see Olamiposi's mommy at all. I said, okay. I went straight to the school the next day. No, you must fight your own battles. I went straight to the school the next day. I went to the headmistress and said, you train your teachers to mind their business and never get involved in other people's business. And then I told her exactly what happened. And she was so apologetic, and that teacher eventually got moved. Now, it wasn't about wanting a teacher to lose her job. It was about wanting a system to work right. Because you're not in my home. You don't know that the things I do in the morning, and you don't know that I cannot be there in the afternoon because my husband and I have worked it out. It's co-parenting. Husband and wife have children. It's not wife has children and husband doesn't have children. So you must learn how to stand your ground and not allow other people. Now, should I now feel guilty and start trying to run to the school every afternoon? No. All the other parents in the class, some of them is their first child. I've done that. So they have time to come to the class every time, come and see teacher, come and do the. I already did that. I have there's 10 years between my first and my youngest. So I already know how to make it work without necessarily being there. But I'm there when it's parents' meeting, when it's prize giving day, when it's those things. And I've trained 3 normal children. And my kids have done well. My first went to school, went to King's College London. My second went to school, went to University of Edinburgh. My baby is in A-levels now, and he will do well. So it's not about, I'm there from morning till night. The children don't need you morning till night. That's the truth. I'm doing what works for me. Why? I am accountable to God for the call of God on my life. And God expects that the husband and the children will all work together for my good. But I have to make it work by my actions and my decisions and the support system. My mother-in-law lived with us for 20 years. Why? First, she's a fantastic woman. My husband loves his mother. 2, I wanted, because I was busy, to have the stability of an adult in my home who does not move. So even as house helps move, my mother-in-law was a stable factor in my home with my children. As I have house helps, I always had cousins I was raising in my house. Why? Whenever I had no house help, I still had people in the house. Work out your own strategy. So those are critical decisions you must make. Determine what counts for your own life. And say, I don't want a mother-in-law. Good for you. Mine, for 20 years, created stability in my house and gave my children that stable environment. I had my cousin that I raised for many years who lived with me and got married from my house. And she looked after my children. When I traveled with my kids, she was the one that would travel with us, with the kids, until later when I could take a house girl to travel and all of that. So I'm just saying there are systems that must work. The question is, where do you want to go to? What do you want to achieve? What are the things you're willing to overlook? Because that's another thing. Do you understand what Yoruba people say, amojukuro? Because